Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Beware of Spies Creeping In. And pretty much, from time to time, the Spirit jumps on us to mention, these things that the scriptures warn us about in dealing with spies, and especially in these times, brothers, we all have to be careful of who we let into our circle, who we entertain, who we deal with, who we talk to, and especially when you're out at the camps, out in the open, and, beware of individuals that are acting like men of the Lord, but they're really none but demons in disguise, spies, men crept in unawares, and the closer we get to the end, the more detrimental it's going to be, because you're going to have people coming out of the woodworks trying to disrupt the work of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But as the scriptures say, if this counsel be of men, it'll come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, you cannot overthrow it. So this message is more so for the camp leaders, heads, men under them, brothers in certain positions that are in leadership positions, that are able to make decisions as to who can cross into the camp, so on and so forth. And as of right now, no new members can join. You had a couple of brothers here and there that actually came into the fold after that order was given. Pretty much those brothers, when the order was given, some of them were already a year in, so most of the brothers that did cross into the camps, they had already been there at least 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years or so, or so on and so forth. So even and even at that, you have to beware, because you still have spies, DTs, feds, CIA, whatever agency they come under, they're going to infiltrate any group of Israelites, Jake, whether you're a so-called Black Power movement, so-called Latino Power movement, so-called Native American Indian Power movement, the Israelites, which are comprised of all three of those, which is really one. You have to be really cautious in these times, of who you associate with, or who you let into your circle, like I said at the beginning of the lesson. So we're going to go through a couple of precepts, go through a couple of words, and then take it from there. But the Spirit is on me. From earlier, after I did the lesson, I was watching some videos and stuff, and I've been wanting to do this lesson. I didn't have this particular title, but I've been wanting to do this lesson for a few days, maybe a week now or so. But the Spirit never really jumped on me. So when a bunch of precepts started popping in my head, and I just wrote a few of them down, and I went to others and just make sure I got some precepts to go with the lesson. And Lord's will, it'll be an edifying lesson. It's an exhortation, but it's more so of a warning, to you brothers out there, that are in these leadership positions, to watch your surroundings. Remember the scripture say, be ye circumspect. All right, so the first scripture we're going to go to, obviously, is Galatians 2:4, and that because of false brethren, and that's what they are. These spies are nothing more than false brethren. And because of false brethren unawares brought in the book of Jude, it calls them men crept in unawares. It says, and that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privately. So they came in privately, meaning they didn't come in the right way. They came in some indirect way. They came in feignedly. They didn't come in truthfully. They came in with ulterior motives. They were hired by some agency to infiltrate, and usually the ones that are spies that infiltrate certain groups, they're the ones that start something or egg something on for others to do something so that they can have something to blame. And that person usually is the one that sets it off by doing some stupid shit that gets the rest of the group, hemmed up. So it says to spy out our liberty, which we have in Yahushua Mashiach, that they might bring us into bondage. So now I looked up the word spy, as our manner is through the Spirit to look up words. Spy or spy out. And the word for spy out is kataskopeo, which should bring to mind the word scopeo, meaning to keep an eye out for. So kataskopeo says to inspect, view closely, in order to spy out and plot against. So these spies that are coming in and sneaking into this thing, creeping in unawares, they're sent into this thing in order to spy out and plot against. Plot against who? The men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Remember, the scripture said that there shall be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Why? Because you have to remember what the scriptures say. The Lord said he was going to raise us up. He was going to put his spirit in us, breathe that breath of life into us, and we were going to stand upon our feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So it is the job of those that fear, which is Esau mainly. The other nations are part of it, but Esau is at the top of that. It is their job, because they fear, to find out a way that they can get away, or that they can push away or do away with the thing that they fear the most. And what do? They hire individuals that look like you, that dress like you, that use the same type of language, lingo, to try to overthrow the imminent threat, which is this truth, the ultimate threat to the whole agenda of Esau's plans. So it says to be a sentinel. That's always to be on watch. So that's what they do. Every time they come around, they're just looking, scoping, anything that they could do. If they can record, they can secretly record you. They're trying to get anything that they can to overthrow the group. But what they don't understand is whatever we speak in the streets, on the videos, that's what we talk about. They're trying to find something. They're not going to find anything unless somebody plants something, because all we do is go out there and teach the word. And what you see us doing on video, that's what we do off video. Of course, brothers get together, talk shit, drink, and whatever the case is, but for the most part, our conversation is spiritual, So they're not going to find anything, but this is what they do. So a sentinel is constantly watching. An example, to inspect insidiously. Now, I had just looked up this word insidiously, which means pretty much somebody that was hired to do this. Insidiously, or in a gradual way. Salaka, there were two words. There's another one where it speaks about insidiously, and then there's another word that they use. But this one is in a gradual, subtle, but with harmful effects, which means what? Gradually. So what they're doing is when they spy out, they gradually do it. You watch those spy movies. You watch Donnie Brasco's, something that Jake, from the ghetto or the barrio can relate to. The guy, he comes into the bar, or he goes around you, and all of a sudden it's like, he has ulterior motives, but he can't just straight up approach you. So what he does, he learns your mannerisms, he learns your conversations, he learns your likes, your pet peeves and things of that nature. And then something might happen, or something might spark a conversation, or he may say something that might catch your interest, and you might talk to him, and then all of a sudden you're engaging with this individual, and all the while he's trapping you subtly into his web and spinning you into his web so that he can get whatever he got to get out of you. And this is how a spy operates. They're very secretive. They're very, they're careful. I've watched There was a documentary of this one individual that was an actual spy. I'm not sure if it, I believe it was for the feds. And whenever he would go to different hoods, if you go to New York, you have to have a certain type of lingo. If you go to Chicago, you have to have a certain type of lingo. If you use Chicago lingo in New York, that could get you killed. If you use New York lingo in Chicago, that can get you killed in those circles. So he had to be very calculative. He had to be very careful in his choice of words and his movements. So a spy is constantly, working, around and and just trying to gather information. All right, to spy out. So insidiously means like in a gradual manner, which is Esau's tactic through with something called gradualism. All right, so let's go back and read this again. It says, and that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty, which we have in Yahushai, that they might bring us into bondage. Because the ultimate goal is what? For all to go up under the rule of Esau in this so-called New World Order. Just like back then, they were trying to bring everybody into bondage underneath the high priest and the chief priest and all them different individuals, and ultimately underneath the Roman Empire. That's the same thing they're doing now, but they're trying to get everybody in league or in bondage or as a slave under Esau's agenda. So from there, we're going to go to Sirach, the 11th chapter and the 29th verse. And we're going to have to go back over this a couple of times in this particular verse because this particular verse is very heavy. Ecclesiastes 11:29. Bring not every man into thine house. See, because that's the problem with Jake. The problem with Jake is that they're too trustworthy. No, they're too trustworthy and they accept every and anybody. The scriptures say, bring not every man into thine house. Cats got to be vetted. They have to be tested and proven. The scriptures say, when you get a friend, you got to prove that friend. You got to see if that friend is really a friend. And the best way to know if a friend is when you find yourself in a jam, in a situation, what they're going to do at that particular moment. Are they going to drop everything that they have, regardless if it was important plans or not, to help you out? Or are they just going to skedaddle and break out on you? Many other things. That's just one example. There's many other things of a friend. So bring not every man into thine house. And even when you go out and you speak on the streets, there's certain exceptions. There's certain brothers that have through the spirit have a higher caliber of spirit that they understand and they fit in. But for the most part, the brothers that's out there that's in the head positions, you don't just you just let a brother into the camp a week ago or a month ago and you're just bringing him in and just showing them how everybody does. That's not a good look. But like I said, there are certain examples or certain times where there's an exception to the rules. There's always an exception to the rules. There's always an individual that exceeds that so-called young brother, position, so to speak, for lack of better words. So bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just dealing with the first part of that. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 20. Them that sin rebuke before all, that others also may fear. And that's the reason for rebuke and reproof, is so that if someone is going off, you correct them. So in the hopes that that brother will catch themselves, from that wrong way that they're going. And then others that see it, they would fear also, because they don't want to fall into that same rut, so to speak. They don't want to fall into that same trap. It says, I charge thee therefore before the Most High and the Lord Yahushua and the elect angels, that thou observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality. But this is the point. Lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins, keep thyself pure. So we're going to look up this word suddenly. Lay hands suddenly on no man. What does that mean? Does that mean if a brother piss you off, don't backhand him? Psh, but you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Does that mean, don't give a brother a knuckle sandwich? Well, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Is this talking about laying hands on somebody that's fighting wise? No. It means don't be too quick to put somebody into a position, of responsibility in this truth until that person has proved themselves. Remember when the Apostle Paul came around, he was mighty, but they didn't trust him right away. They were looking at him sideways. It took a while, and he had to prove himself after a while for them to really accept him in. All right, so we look up the word suddenly. And the word there is takeose. If I know I butchered that. Quickly, shortly, see? Let's see, speedily, rapidly, hastily. So don't be too hasty to put somebody in a position just because you need somebody to fill a position. Because that's what an individual that used to be the head of Connecticut back, before Elder Apostle Tahar and the apostles were coming up here, there was an individual. I'm call him by his Hebrew name. His name was Shemariah, and this guy really wasn't a leader. He was, I'll leave it at that, but he was too hasty to put brothers in positions that they had no clue of what the hell they were doing, or even, had the capability of taking care of that office. He just wanted to put somebody in there so he didn't have to do it. So what did he do? He laid hands suddenly on men to do these things. This also applies to, not being too hasty to anyone that comes in. You just accept into the camp, because you got to be careful. So lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partakers of other men's sins. Keep thyself pure. Now let's go back to Ecclesiasticus 12 and 11 and 29. Bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains. What does it mean that a deceitful man hath many trains? Meaning many thoughts. Their heart is deep, and their mind is always constantly working on situations to. If you have if you question them, if you corner them, they always got an out. It's always an out. Let's see, brothers are putting up some precepts. Whoa, man, you brothers are bad, man. Through the spirit, of course. All right. Damn, man, you brothers are too much, man. All right, I'm gonna start here with KDC, West Toronto. Oh man, let me see if I can find it over here. Right here. Ephesians 6:17. Whoso fear of the Lord shall direct his friendship aright. See? For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. So that's how you're supposed to be. Whatever character you have, that's the character that your friend should have. All right, let's see. The brother Gabaria Howard, Ecclesiastes 19:4. He that is hasty to give credit is light-minded. See? Put somebody in a position too quickly. And he that sinneth shall offend against his own soul. But the point is, he that is hasty to give credit is light-minded. Here, Israel. Ecclesiasticus 9:7. Look not round about thee in the streets of the city, neither wander thou in the solitary places thereof. It says, verse 14, as near as thou canst, guess at thy neighbor and consult with the wise. Yeah, this brother's got the old English, so it's kind of hard to read. Okay, so let me go back. Howard, the Ecclesiastes 6 and 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. Yeah. So you can't be too hasty in this thing. Because that rests in the bosom of fools. Beautiful. Ecclesiasticus 31:15, judge of thy neighbor by thyself and be discreet in every point. Because we're coming into this truth to what? To be circumspect, to show, or to what's the word I'm looking for? To show discretion. I mean, there was another word, but that's all right. To show discretion. Oh, this is beautiful right here. GMS a month. 1 Thessalonians 5:12. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you. Yeah, you don't want to labor with somebody that you know is going to leave you. You know, you and going through hard times, they're just going to be like, oh man, F you. I'm out of here. Yep, this is another good one. KDC West, Psalms 41:9. Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his heel against me. This is dealing with Judas, Yahushua and Judas Iscariot. Yep, discernment. Yep, that's right. You know, so going back, for the deceitful man hath many trains. Now let's go from there too. So we're going to read this whole chapter, Lord's will. It's a short chapter. I mean, it's not short, but it's kind of short. Ecclesiasticus 12. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it, so shalt thou be thanked for thy benefit. And you know, some of this stuff that's self-explanatory, I'm not going to go into too much. Do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense, and if not from him, yet from the Most High. So you have to know when you do something good, who do you do it to? There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms. Give to the godly man, and help not a sinner. Yeah. And the spies will fall under the category of sinners. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. See, he overmastered thee thereby, because their whole thing is what? To overthrow our liberty and to bring us into bondage. For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. Yeah, that's right. Give unto the good, and help not the sinner. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hid in adversity. And this is so true, you know, because when you have a friend, when you're doing good, anybody can be your friend. But when you're doing bad, that's when you know who your friends are. You know, a good example that we've used in the past is MC Hammer. He was trying to help everybody. He had a big heart, good heart. You know, he was trying to help everybody in the hood, and he had a big entourage, and he was spending money like crazy because he thought it was going to last forever. And he thought he was Keith Sweat, make it last forever. And what happened? Eventually, the money dried up. And what happened to those friends that he put on, you know, that he was paying? They all bounced on him. See? So a friend cannot be known in prosperity. Neither an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. And when you're going through hell, and you have somebody you call a friend, and you're going through hell, he's not going to hold his tongue. He'll be like, yeah, see, motherfucker, I knew. You know? So it says, in the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved. But in his adversity, even a friend will depart. That's why it says you have to prove a friend. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. This is dealing with Esau. It's also dealing with Jake too. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped the looking glass. Meaning you keep your eye on that mother effer. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. Why? Because you keep your eye on him long enough, he gonna do something that you see. I knew it. I knew this mother. You know? Set him not by thee. Meaning what? Putting him in a position with you. When he hath, it says, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. See? Neither let him sit, because like what happened with the situation with what was it? Malcolm X. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was Farrakhan that set him up. And what happened? He came in his stead. I don't know if that was Messy Jesse Jackson that was with Martin Luther King. And when Martin Luther King got killed, you know, Jesse kind of slid up in there like my man Honest Abe Honeycutt from the movie Bamboozled. Set him not by thee, lest when he overthrow thee, he stand in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked. They would say, damn, man, I knew better than this, man. They told me not to, They told me not to trust this mother, But a lot of times, yep, and that's a good one too. But a lot of times, Jake don't listen till it's too late. Oh yeah, it was Messy Jesse Jack. All right, cool. The brother Gabar Adama put a good one. Luke 21:16, and you shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinsfolk and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. Now that happened back then, and it's going to happen again. All right, wow, man. You brothers are too much. Zakar Abun, Sirach 19:26, there is a wicked man that hangeth down his head, sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit. All right, so let's go back. It says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten by a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? They shouldn't have been messing with that snake. They shouldn't have been messing with that beast. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Yeah, that's right. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. Yeah, because he's going to help you fall. Because the ultimate goal of a spy is what? To bring you in subjection to his masters, to his handlers. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. And when a spy comes, man, he going to be the, I don't know how many of you brothers watch the movie Braveheart. But when you watch the movie Braveheart, they show you that. They show you when William Wallace was out in the woods, and you had these two men. One of them was named Stephen. The other one, I don't remember the other one's name. And then Stephen came in. He was all, crude. He was all like bold and, and pretty much he came in like an asshole. They was there. Both of them were there. He came in there. He was looking around. He looked in the pot. He grabbed the spoon, and took some of the stew out and started eating that stew, talking shit. And then the other one was, William Wallace, and, he giving all kind words and good words, and my wife made this for you, and this, that, and the other, and, and the whoop-de-whoop-de-bam, the like the brothers in Chicago say, right? And what happened? When he was in remote by himself in the forest, the dude that came with them kind words, what did he do? He tried to kill him. But the one that came in crude and obnoxious, he saved his life. Think about it. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to overthrow thee into a pit, because their whole thing is trying to find a way to accomplish their job, no matter how long it takes, so that they can get their little $500 check and their fake gold watch. They put their life on the line, in these other, like in the mob or whatever the case may be. You have infiltrators in the mob. They put their life on the line. They could be put to death. They might be undercover for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And at the end of the whole deal, they get a $500 check or certificate and a fake gold-plated watch for all the risk that they did. It says he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood, because it's all about the overthrow. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Yeah, because you're going to be like, damn, I thought you was my friend. I thought you was my friend. You thought wrong. So going back to Ecclesiastes 11, now let's go to 30. Like as a partridge taken and kept in a cage, so is the heart of the proud. And like as a spy, watcheth he for thy fall. Because at the end of the day, that is the job of the spy, to watch the fall of the ones that they're trying to get to. Reading on, it says, for he lieth in wait and turneth good into evil. So here it is. This truth is about good, and they're trying to turn it into evil. Like they had a movie that was supposed to come out called Asher. And in that movie Asher, it was about one that infiltrated the Israelites, to overthrow them. to label them as terrorists or something along those lines, which the movie never came out. For he lieth in wait and turneth good into evil, and in things worthy praise will lay blame upon thee. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to lay blame upon the Israelites. That's why you have your devils like Vocab Malone, trying to equate everything, every situation with a Jake out there with the Israelites. The guy, Judas and the Black Messiah. Yep, that's right. That's a good one too. You had that movie back in the days. What was the name of that movie? With Kadeem Hardison. He played Judge. Was that Damn, what was the name of that movie? Kadeem Hardison played Judge. The name of his was Judge, and he infiltrated the Black Panther, the movie Black Panthers. Yeah, Panther there. So they show you time and time again. Of a spark of fire, a heap of coals is kindled, and a sinful man layeth wait for blood. And that's what they were laying wait for, blood. Take heed of a mischievous man, for he worketh wickedness, lest he bring upon thee a perpetual blot. Receive a stranger into thine house, and he will disturb thee and turn thee out of thine own. So don't be too hasty to bring in any individuals into the fold. Let everything be done decently and in order, and let the Spirit guide, the men of the Lord into the truth. If you're a man of the Lord, if you're one of the elect, you're gonna be saved. You're gonna do what you got to do, And in the meantime, and in between time, if you do go out to see the brothers at the camp, and you are sincere, do your own thing, do your lessons. If you're ready to go out in the streets, go out there and do your street ministry. And after you do your street ministry, whatever day it is, if you want to come and see the brothers, you go see them. And eventually, if the Spirit wills and the Lord wants you in the truth, you're going to come into one of the camps. But at this time right now, it's the closer we get, the more those doors are shutting. To where it's going to come a point that individuals that was lollygagging or tarrying around, they're going to have to go out there and do their own thing. So this is a tribute to Caesar, Luke 20:19. And the chief priests and the scribes the same hour sought to lay hands on him. And they feared the people, for they perceived that he had spoken this parable against them. So they were trying to find the Lord, trying to find whatever way they could trap Yahushua in his word, so they can accuse him to the Romans, so that the Romans could put him to death. So it says, and they watched him. And that reminds me of that council, because they were trying to, the council at the house of David, because they were trying to find anything to accuse us of. Because their whole thing wasn't about truth. It was about getting rid of the men that they felt were a problem. Especially dealing with Elder Apostle Tahar. Because he was the main thorn in their side, because they couldn't do what they wanted to do, because Apostle Tahar would withstand them to the face. And go into the scriptures and say, look, man, this is you supposed to be doing this. You doing that. You supposed to be doing this. So they would talk when they get together and say, we've got to find out how we can get rid of this man. Well, that's what they were doing to Yahushua. It says, and they watched him. So this is what a spy does. They watched him and sent forth spies which should feign themselves just men. They're not going to send a dude in there and look, I'm a spy, so I just want to know what y'all about. I'm trying to find something to make this whole thing fall apart. No, he's going to come as undetected as possible, as clandestine as possible, that they might take hold of his words, that so they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the governor. So for what? So that they can destroy him. So I looked up the word spies. This is where that other word was. And the word spies is encathetos, secretly to lie in wait, a spy, one who is bribed by others to entrap a man by crafty words. See, and that's why the spy, what is the spy's job? Constantly asking questions to try to get information from you. Where does this man live? Where does that one live? Has he killed anybody? Has he done this? As this clown that was a spy, he was a cop. He was an undercover cop, and he was at the school in Connecticut, and he would be willing to give brothers rides to their homes, and you thinking that the brothers he's being a brother, but what he was doing, he was gathering info. Trying to see where you lived, asking brothers questions. You know, had this, did it, you know, and eventually the spirit got to the point where, you know, we told him he can't come around no more because a couple of brothers had dreams about him that he was an Edomite. We didn't come straight out telling him, look, you're a spy, get the fuck out of here, you know. But through the spirit, you know, the spirit found a way and let Elder Apostle Tahar know how to handle that situation. You know. Now down here, this is where I found it. It says in a derivative of sub-induced, an example, surreptitiously suborned. Now the word surreptitiously is one that has been hired. All right, surreptitiously in a way that attempts to avoid. I'm sorry. It's a secretive. You know, surreptitiously. So in other words, this individual was secretly hired, because when you go back, it says surreptitiously suborn. When they suborn men, they pay them, but they don't do it out in the open. Suborn, it says bribe or otherwise induce someone to commit an unlawful act such as perjury. So pretty much they bribe them surreptitiously or clandestinely or secretly. And that's what they did. That's why they hired these men to act as if they were righteous men or just men, and they weren't. Just like when all of those witnesses came to Yahushua to accuse him, they paid those witnesses to come to Yahushua and accuse him. But to show you how heavy the spirit was, none of them could agree one with another, because it was all bullshit. You know? But the thing to take away from this is to keep your eyes open for spies. You know, especially the closer we get to this. You know, beware of spies creeping in. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified, and you few sisters, till the next time I say shalom.